I love the Lord. I was grounded in church and in the Lord growing up. But then also when I went to college, I think that's kind of where I realized like, oh, I want to be a worship leader. I want to be
Mhm.
a songwriter and a musician.
I'm your host, Jonathan Unthank, and today I'm so excited to sit down with none other than worship leader and songwriter Josh Baldwin. Today, Josh talks about finding Jesus as a child, but taking his faith as his own after moving out, dropping out of college to pursue more of Jesus and songwriting. Let's go back to the beginning with Josh Baldwin.
Rewrite. New life, new beginning.
Take us back to the beginning. How did it all begin?
Oh wow. Well, I mean, I grew up. I'm a pastor's kid. I'm a
Mhm.
PK. So I joke around about this. I was like, I was born on a Sunday and in church on the next
Oh,
Sunday,
yeah.
which I mean, actually is for real. I was born on a Sunday, July 8th, 1979, and then the next week I was there. But so I grew up in church, and my dad was the pastor, and my mom was in the choir, but my dad was also a worship pastor. I mean, he led worship. He was a worship leader. And so I grew up around music and all of that, and started playing drums for my dad growing up in church. And but I mean, as far as like, I remember my dad praying with me just to accept Jesus when I was, gosh, 6 or 7, something like that. Um and I remember it me, it not just being a prayer, but it meant, it was
Mhm.
like that something took place. I remember that moment. And then I grew up in church and served the Lord, loved the Lord, loved being a part of church, loved the youth group. Growing up in my youth group, I had a great youth group and a great youth pastor. And so and even in high school, like I was a pretty good kid. I was yeah, I didn't. I played sports, but I didn't do too. I remember like not playing some sport. Like I didn't play football, and my buddies were always upset at me because I was a pretty good athlete. And the reason I didn't play football is because I wanted to be like I was already miss. I was like, guys, I'm already missing too much youth group and all the things I want to do because of basketball and baseball. I'm not going to play football too. And it was just funny, like thinking of that, and like my friends are like, "What? You're not going to play football because you want to go to church?" But that's how important my youth group was to me, and
Exactly. Yeah.
getting into music and leading worship, and I cared so much about it. And I say all that to say I love the Lord. I was grounded in church and in the Lord growing up. But then also when I went to college, I think that's when like you leave town, and like that's when like your faith, it becomes like not as much your parents' faith, and it
Yeah.
becomes
Yeah.
your faith. And,
Yep.
or it could go the other way, and
Mhm.
you realize like, oh, I was basing all this just off my family, and just I was being forced to go to church or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's when it really hits home, and you're like, okay, are you living this way because this is what you believe, or are you living this way because this is what your parents believed and you don't want to disappoint or whatever. And so yeah, I think my college years which was really was just 2 years. And funny enough, I did find the Lord, and I found my faith, my personal walk with the Lord there. And I got so fired up and pumped about that I didn't go to class ever. I did, I was actually a pretty bad student. Like I ended up dropping out of Lee University, and which is funny, but it's funny now. But it's funny because I actually I fell in love with the Lord even more there, and that's kind of where I realized like, oh, I want to be a worship leader. I want to be
Mhm.
a songwriter and a musician, and really found my faith with the Lord. And then it directed me in the path of like, oh, I should actually go this way with my
That's
life.
awesome.
Not college.
I didn't I guess you told me that before. I just can't remember. You've got an athletic background as well
A little bit
in the early years,
in the early years. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I
so
mean,
what
nothing
what
super
what was
special.
your favorite? I mean, did you do multi-sport? I mean, what did that look
Uh,
like?
I mean, my favorite was always basketball. It was always like probably the one I was the best at. I played basketball, yeah, since I was a little kid up till I didn't play in college, but I played like club ball, these,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
big
yeah.
things, and I would play, on the playground every night I'd be out there. So, um, and I even now I still play every now and then. It's kind of shifted over into golf. I
Yep,
mean,
yep.
I played a lot of golf in my teens and early 20s, but as I've gotten older, I've put away the basketball just because I don't want to get hurt and not be able to travel. So, so yeah, it's more golf now, but
So
well,
so where have you seen Jesus on the golf course? I'll ask you that, man, because
oh man. So, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, God, where are you on the golf? Like, why hast thou forsaken me? No, I mean, I think I do love to talk about sports and all the sports mental things that
yeah.
go. I mean, I think there is something one of the reasons I do love golf and love going out is just being out in nature and
Yeah.
out. There's a peace that comes with that, and I think there is something that a lot of times it is easier to find the Lord
Hmm.
outside in nature, because you just see just yeah. Not to quote a song that I wrote, you see the evidence of Him all around.
There you go.
That was unintentional. Sorry. Um, but there is that. But then also, I get frustrated. Obviously, everyone gets frustrated playing golf. But there's opportunities to like kind of practice like self-control
Yeah.
and all the things like in a real way. Like it's actually golf is such a mental sport
Yeah.
that there is a lot of opportunities in there to really like uh practice the fruits of the spirit and I,
Kindness and
yeah,
joy and
long suffering.
long suffering. Yes, yes. Oh man, dude,
Yeah.
you could write this manual. I'm
Yeah. Oh
thinking this
yeah.
golf manual of and the fruit of the spirit, and then weave it into a song somehow.
That's true.
I'm,
There.
I'm imagining what that could look like. It'd be like this inside thing. This inside story.
Yeah.
Singing,
Yeah.
singing this one in the church. Try this one, and it's got little golf hints in there.
Yeah. Just tee it up. Tee it up on a
Tee it
Sunday
up.
morning.
Oh man, so your family's doing good. What's the Lord doing in your family right now?
Oh, they're doing great. I just got back to the house from taking the kids to school this morning. We're doing good. It's a good season. My daughter's 13, my son's 12, and they're getting into those ages where we hang out more.
Hmm.
Like I love it because I get to like go and like go on dates with my daughter, play golf with my son or go do things with him. And we're like, it's not as much like father and child,
Hmm.
as it is like, I mean, it is that, but there's just a lot of the like, oh, we get to hang out and have conversations. And I feel like I'm hanging out with an adult, and those are fun because I get to, just kind of pick their brains and see what's going on in their life
Hmm.
and that my goal is to like keep the lines of communication between us like always flowing and not get stagnant with that and so that I want them to grow up and it be more abnormal for them not to share things with me
Hmm.
than share stuff with me, and I know as they become teenagers it's naturally just sometimes gets easier for your kid to not want to share stuff with the parents and probably more so the dad. So my goal is to like not let that happen. And we're in a good season and yeah, even with the Lord and everything, they're growing up. I was talking earlier about just me and growing up in a great youth group with a good youth pastor. We're in that season where they're stepping into that and our we're wanting them to get locked in with a good youth group. We have a church and we have a youth group, so they're going into that. So I see those years. These are the years when in my life like so much was formed, and I feel like yeah, I mean even my parents divorced. My dad was a pastor and
Hmm.
still is, but my parents divorced when I was in high school, and um I'll tell you the thing that like really kept me from going down a path where maybe I would be cynical towards the Lord or church, especially. I didn't go down that path because I had such a strong group of friends who were going
Hmm.
after the Lord too, in my youth group, my youth pastor, and so I just realized that that my kids aren't not going to face some of the same things that I faced, but
Hmm.
they are going to face trials here and there. And I'm like, man, I know we have a solid home for them and a solid family, but I know how important the local church and
It is, man. Yeah.
is for them. And so, yeah, we're definitely getting in those seasons where I'm like, okay, I remember being this age and I remember the thoughts and the things going through my mind. And I just want to be aware that we're doing everything we can to keep them locked into the local church and just a good community.
I love going back to, and I have to do that too, just personally as well, as where it all began.
Yeah.
And just like,
Yeah.
man, Lord, you've set me up on this path, this journey
Yeah.
of sharing your story. But then, hey, I can't forget about my story and how you're a thread in
Totally.
all that as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, this is special times right here.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I love that. It just I like the it's always good to remind yourself of just like that first love, that
Hmm.
moment when you just fell in love with the Lord and then it set you on this path and this
Yeah.
journey. Because sometimes on the in life you lose sight of the why and then it's good. I like to go back and be like, okay, yeah. I remember when I just said yes to whatever because it had something to do with the Lord. I'm just
Hmm.
like, I'll do it. Yeah.
That's it, man. That's it. This is Rewrite, Stories of New Life in Jesus. I'm Jonathan Unthank. If you'd like to join a community of listeners who enjoy hearing the life stories of Christian music artists and influencers, then join the Rewrite text group by texting the word Rewrite. That's REWRITE to 81891. But more importantly, if you'd like to dig deeper into your own relationship with Jesus, you can begin that journey today by texting his name, Jesus, to 81891. God bless you. Join me next time for another episode of Rewrite.